So I think you guys can hear me now. Just give me a thumbs up if you can. It's probably going to take a couple of seconds for me to refresh and show me that, yeah, this is in English, absolutely. It's just refreshing for me. So I'm just waiting for someone to just say that you can hear me okay, and then I'll continue after that. Okay, I can see myself and I think I am live now. Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, wherever you are. Okay, thanks, Prashant. So I did this session yesterday, and I know a lot of people had attended the session and asked me questions to repeat the content in English. It would have been really a bit more chaotic if I had repeated every sentence in Tamil and English, which is why this video is in completely in English. I wanted to do a separate session. Thanks for everyone who's joined. The reason I wanted to do this as live was because I had posted a couple of videos in my channel explaining about the new points-based system that has come into picture. Or that's going to basically go live in 1st of January 2021. How that's going to simplify the visa processing required to come to UK. And if an employer wants to employ somebody in India, how that's being simplified through the points-based system. So I'd explained the points-based system, how you can apply for it, what you need, what is the points requirement, and the salary requirements. I had put separate videos for it. But I just wanted to give a bit more clarity because it looked like it was a bit ultra positive when we posted those videos, and the scenario was completely different during that point of time. Now, because of COVID and because of where we are in October and in a couple of months remaining and how the job market is in UK, I just wanted to make an interactive video explaining about the current scenario, because a lot of people have been mailing me asking me about the current job scenario. When do they come? They have a job in India, and do they want to quit their job and come? So I just wanted to make it an interactive video so it doesn't look like I don't want to paint a negative picture, but I don't want to retain an ultra positive picture as well. I just wanted to set a bit of reality. So first thing is the new points-based system is definitely launching on 1st of January 2021. From what I have seen, there is no clarity on the date from which you can start applying. So as we said earlier, even if the processing starts, or if the visa processing starts before that, the validity of the visa will only be available from January 2021. So if you're very close to it, like if you're on tier 2 ICT and you have to go back, I think there are extensions that are being given to people because it's really close to the new points-based system being launched. So if you're just having another couple of months left on your current visa, there are extensions being provided from what I know of, which I think you can talk to the home office and get it processed if you're already in UK for that matter. If you're in India, then yeah, obviously when the visa launches, it will be available, but there'll probably be a home office announcement when you can actually start applying for jobs and when you can actually start for the visa processing. So from a job search perspective, there are job search sites are now offering this filters where they're saying that if employers are willing to sponsor the visa, so more and more employers I think will come up sponsoring the points-based system. So I'll answer some of the questions in a couple of minutes. I'll just finish off a couple of things that I wanted to say, and then I'll probably go into the question and answers. So yes, we do need a certificate of sponsorship. So what's going to happen is every employer who's currently sponsoring on the tier 2 general, their tier 2 general sponsorship license is going to be converted into a points based system license. And if somebody doesn't have a sponsorship license, they will need to apply for a sponsorship license. Sponsorship license doesn't cost a lot. For sponsoring one employee, it costs, like, for a middle company or a small company, it costs like about 540 pounds. And if it's a very large company having, I think, 50 million plus turnover, then it's going to cost like 1,500 pounds. But it still doesn't cost a lot for them considering the salaries that they have to pay in UK. And you do need a certificate of sponsorship to be assigned. So if you just have a job offer and if the employer doesn't have a sponsorship license, then you can't apply. Even though the employer is a valid UK employer and they are giving you a job offer which is meeting all the eligibility criteria for the salary, you still need the employer to have a sponsorship license. And I forgot to give the link yesterday. I'll give the link where the UK Home Office publishes the official list of all of the employers, UK employers, who have valid sponsorship license on a weekly basis. They give an update with all of the names. So there are about roughly about last time I checked, there are about 32,000 employers in UK who have valid sponsorship license for sponsoring people on a visa. And this list will now get updated with points-based system sponsorship license. And anyone who wants to apply can actually start applying now, right now. The employers, not the employees, the employers, prospective employers who want to hire in from January, they can actually start applying for their sponsorship license, and they can get their sponsorship license, getting ready to sponsor someone, give a job and sponsor someone to bring them on the new points based system. That is already live from what I understand. And when they get their sponsorship license, they obviously need to give you a certificate of sponsorship. So you need to have a certificate of sponsorship and you need to have a job offer, which is valid now. Now, if you had a job offer like 6 months before, can you use it to apply now? No, I don't think you can, because a lot of things have changed. The clarity with regards to the salary that is needed for the points based system has only come now. So if you had a job offer from 6 months back, the home office may not accept it. It needs to be something that is new, and probably also better if the job offer contains details of the sponsorship license. That probably will have more validity. It's my understanding, basically. Again, all of this is my understanding. I'm not an expert in visa processing. I'm not in this field, but I did my own visa processing, and I've just been going through all the documents to kind of understand and summarize it for people. That's what I'm trying to do, basically. So, but having said all of this about the visa itself and the processing, the job market is something that needs to be given a bit of attention now, because like all countries, right, UK is also suffering from COVID. Especially the jobs are in a really difficult scenario with regards to COVID. There are a lot of companies which have already made people redundant in COVID. And from a job market perspective, India, there are a lot of IT industries, right? In UK, the IT industry is very small. There is an IT in every industry. That's how the industry works in UK. Not that there are no UK IT consulting companies. There are a lot of UK IT consulting companies, but compared to India, the number is very, very small. So when you come to UK, you should be expecting to work in a end user company. Like it could be a retail industry, it could be a tourism industry, travel industry, whatever it is, right? But most of these industries have taken a big hit because of COVID. A lot of industries, especially retail and entertainment industries, tourism industries, they've all taken a massive revenue hit, which means that they don't have money to do new IT projects. So if you are, especially in IT, right, if you're coming here, you will ultimately be working for an end user company. And with the current scenarios, a lot of companies are actually making people, more and more people redundant. The statistical data that published last week says that one in every three people in UK are actually looking for a job. They're out of jobs. So that's the kind of severity that's there. There are a lot of people who don't have jobs in UK as well. So if you are looking for a job in from 1st of January and you're applying for a lot of jobs and you're not getting something, not because of your own talent or not because your CV doesn't fit into any of this, it's the current scenario is really bad. There are very few jobs, and there are a lot of people who are actually applying for jobs. There are more and more companies which are struggling to keep up with the revenue and cash flow. And a lot of companies actually are keeping people in employment because the government is actually giving a furlough scheme. The government is actually paying for 80%, 70% of the people's salaries. And that's why many companies are even actually keeping people in the jobs. Otherwise, it would be even more difficult. So the scenario is really difficult right now, and it's not probably the right time to come to UK if you're already in a well-settled job in India. Like for example, you're getting a 15 lakh, 20 lakh job in India. Quitting that and coming here at this point of time is a huge risk, because the one thing that's going to happen is you are given a duration of maximum of 5 years where you can come to UK using the points based system. Now, throughout your duration, you need to have a sponsor in place. If you're going to switch jobs after you come to UK, the new employer should also have a sponsorship license and should also be willing to give you a sponsorship. So you can never be in UK in the entire 5 years without a sponsorship license. And I don't know what's the period, what's the buffer period that they can give. If you lose your job or if you're made redundant, then within how many days you need to find the next sponsor, and it could be like 30 days, for example. Now, which would mean that if you lose your job after you come here, then you might have to go back to India if you can't find a quick enough sponsor on your next job. And typically in UK, once you've left your job and finding another job takes a minimum of 3 months. There is a lot of processing that takes place. there is a consultant that sits in between. It's not like employers hire directly from the market. Employers go through a recruitment consultant process, and it all takes like 3 months. So if you are made redundant from a job, then it could take 3 months, and by that time you might have to go back to India, which is so if you're actually leaving a well-paid, well-settled job in India and coming here, this scenario, the COVID scenario, is probably not the right time for you to come here. That's kind of what I wanted to say. And from an ILR perspective, again, I've explained this in my video. The time that you've done in tier 2 ICT doesn't matter. The clock resets. So if you've done 2 years, the clock resets after you go into points-based system. You need to spend 5 years in a points-based system, and once you spend 5 years in a points-based system, you will be eligible to get your ILR. That's my understanding again. However, if somebody has done 6 years in a tier 2 ICT or a non-eligible visa, and they've already been in UK, and if you can do 4 years in your points-based system, there is a 10-year long residence, permanent residency option also available. So you might probably get a chance of getting into your ILR because of that. So with that said, I think kind of covered most of the content that I was covering from yesterday. So we can probably go into a few questions. English language requirement. Um, yeah, NARIC is acceptable. I think I explained in one of my videos. I think it was the red route. If you go to the UK NARIC, there is a red route option, which is basically today it is useful for. I mean, whatever it says for tier 2 general today, right? That's what you need to apply for your tier. I mean, for your points based system as well. So people have been saying me that telling me that I've been going to UK NARIC. It doesn't give me an option for points-based system. It may not even give you a points-based system till 1st January because the systems have to change to reflect the new visa when it comes into picture. But if you can get your UK NARIC done for tier 2 general, that's equivalent, because all that UK NARIC are giving is a English language assessment of your degree certificate of whatever undergraduate or postgraduate that you've done in India, and saying that yes, your English language skills are adequate for working in UK. So if you can do it for your tier 2 general, then that's fine. But you can also do, if you are not able to do this, if you're not able to get your UK NARIC done because of any reasons, like you don't have your original degree certificates and all of that, you can also write your IELTS or any equivalent English language test. I don't know about PTE, but there are certain tests that are accepted, like the English language. I mean, the IELTS test, and for I think for NHS nurses there is an OET, occupational English test. There are a few tests that are accepted. You can go and check it in the approved English language test document. There is one document which tells you what are all the English tests that are accepted if you can't do your UK NARIC. My employer is a A-rated sponsor. Do they need to apply for PBS license separately? I don't know what that means, but if they have a tier 2 general sponsorship license, that will get converted to a points-based system license. Otherwise, if they don't have a points-based system license, doesn't matter what kind of sponsorship they have, they need to apply for a points-based system license and get the points-based system license. So it's a very straightforward process from what I've read for the employers. As long as they have a number of employees and they have a frequent revenue that's coming in, it should be a fairly simple and straightforward process for them to go and apply for a sponsorship license. Another main factor is earlier, and again, if the sponsor is not, if the employer is not aware of this, you can explain it to them. The major factor that was stopping employers from sponsoring licenses or hiring people on the tier 2 general earlier was the resident labor market test. So resident labor market test, what it means is that they have to prove that for this role, I cannot get anybody in UK who's already in UK with a valid visa or a British citizen for that matter. And these are the reasons why I'm not able to get anybody for 30 days. They need to publish the job, conduct interviews, show that they are not able to get anybody. Only then they can sponsor an employee. And that's, in most scenarios, that's actually not, there's no real way of doing it. So they will basically do some manipulation to show that this is the only employee who fits this job profile, and that resident labor market test was a big deterrent for people to hire somebody. Today that's been removed. Today, if an employer wants to hire somebody, like I was giving an example where I was working in a client organization, and many times I wanted to hire people who come from an Indian consulting company like TCS or whatever Indian consulting companies. And if I wanted to hire them, the resident labor market test was a huge deterrent, because I can never show legally that I cannot get anybody in UK other than this person. Just because I have worked with that person and I know their talent, I just feel comfortable hiring them. And earlier the tier 2 general was stopping me from doing that. Today, the points-based system makes it simpler. I want this person and I can actually just go and hire that person. No questions asked. There is no restriction from the home office why I need to hire this person. As long as the person has a degree certificate, as long as I can offer them 20,000 pounds or whatever is the minimum salary requirements, that's all is required to hire that person. Nothing else more than that is required in the new points-based system, which will mean employers will no longer have the restrictions that they had, and that will enable more employers to come forward, get the sponsorship license, and sponsor more people. How do you think Indian big IT companies will react as many companies want to hire this employee? So this is similar to US, right? If somebody goes on a H1B, for example, from an Indian IT company, if they can get another sponsor, they can actually convert their H1B to the other sponsor, and Indian IT companies still take the risk and take people. So it is a retention policy of the Indian IT companies, how well they pay the employees that determine whether they can retain the people or not. So that's going to happen. I mean, that was there even 5-6 years back. It's only the tier 2 general process that stopped them from going from ICT to general. So that's going to be there even now as well. So it's going to be very similar. Is it always to have the sponsor who will have to pay the points-based system visa fees? No, the sponsor will not pay the points-based system visa fees. You will have to pay the points-based system visa fees, again, in my understanding. What the sponsor could do is could offer this as part of your package to say that, okay, I'll cover your. That's optional for the sponsor. They can optionally offer you the points-based system visa fees as a package, basically, to say that, making it more attractive. But they don't have to actually, because they are already paying the sponsorship license, which is 540 pounds if they're a small company, or 1,500 pounds if they're a big company. And on top of it, they have to pay a yearly 1,000 pounds fees for every employer, that every person that they bring on the sponsorship on a yearly basis. So on top of your fees, whatever it is for you and your family, the sponsor is already paying a separate amount from their side for covering this sponsorship license. So it's not expected the sponsor will pay for your visa fees actually. Will tier 2 general exist after PBS comes into force? I think that's a good question. I think in previous scenarios, the people who have come in that visa have been allowed to continue in that visa. Like, for example, when tier 1 was stopped, new tier 1 was stopped, people in tier 1 were continuing to exist in tier 1 till they got their ILR or whatever. So I assume tier 2 general will continue till their visa end date is nearing. So for example, if you had a tier 2 general which is valid till, let's say, end of 2021, you will be in tier 2 general till end of 2021. But if you have to extend it from December 2021, for example, you can't extend it in tier 2 general. You will have to apply for a points-based system visa. So you'll have to convert it into a points-based system visa. That's my understanding. It won't end for people who are already in that visa, but I don't think they'll extend it with the tier 2 general itself. You will have to convert it to a points-based system visa. That's how I've read it. I've understood it. World is suffering since you are living and asking when is the right time to apply for a PBS because of COVID. Like Nandu Sinha explained just in the beginning of this video, I wouldn't, if I am living in India, for example, and I'm getting a good, well-paid job, I will not apply for a job in UK right now because this is not the right time. It's a huge risk to be coming to UK if you're already well settled. Because if you leave your job, come here. See, earlier what happened was when we came, we were in tier 1. Even if we don't have a job, we were allowed to stay in this country for 6 months, 1 year, whatever time period we want till we are able to find a job. That was the HSMP or tier 1 or the previous points-based system. Today, if you come and if you lose your job with the current employer who is sponsoring it, you have a very short time before you can find another sponsor. Otherwise, you lose your job, you lose your visa, and you have to go back. So with the COVID scenario, it's probably not the right time because it's not stable at all. Right now, every employer is struggling. Every industry is struggling. And UK is not a country where, like India, you have only IT consulting companies where they can keep you on bench for 3 months or 4 months. UK is a country where there are more industries who will hire IT to enable their company as an enabling function, not a separate IT function as such. So I would say that it's probably best that you do it at least when the COVID scenario is all settled, maybe like next year. If you're in a well-paid job in India and you're able to manage for another year, do it in India. Don't come to UK at this point of time because a lot of people are already who are valid UK citizens and valid Europeans who've got a UK settlement. They are also searching for jobs here in UK. I need some idea because it's difficult to search for a new job when the company dismisses affecting our period of stay. That's right. But I know this is a very big question. Any tips to stay safe where 5 years in PK could? There is no tips basically. I mean, I think the best thing is to find an industry which is not going to be affected by this thing, because if you are going to work in a, let's say, tourism industry or a travel industry, right? You know you're setting yourself up for a failure, because the travel industry is going to be take a continuous hit. There are going to be more and more lockdowns, and it's going to take a continuous hit. So definitely, it's going to be the strategy will be to look for an industry which is probably a little bit more stable, like financial industries, fintech industries. Whatever we do, we still need our money. We still need our banks to process our mortgages and everything. That's going to continue. So those are industries a little bit more stable, I would say. Sundar is asking a question. Thanks for the honesty. Would Brexit become a factor to be considered? Without the COVID, right, Brexit was a huge factor. But today, I don't think it will be a huge factor, because there are a couple of reasons. When Brexit came into picture, the main thing was saying that Europeans and Indians will have the same level of opportunities. So that's true. If somebody wants to, if a company wants to go and hire somebody from Spain or Germany or from any other country, they are also coming under points-based system, which means that there is an equal opportunity given to Indians or any country for that matter, Sri Lanka, whatever country it is. So Brexit is making that equal opportunity for everyone. But a lot of people who were already working in UK, Europeans who were already working in UK, nearly 2 to 3 million people, I think, my understanding, we've all been given settlement in UK as part of the Brexit process. So not many people have actually left. They were not they didn't have to go back to Europe, and they're not going to be rehired in a points-based system. They were given a different option as a settlement, which means that they are allowed to continue to work in UK like how they were working. So they don't come under the points-based system at all. So Brexit, in the next 1 or 2 years, it's probably not going to impact this process hugely. But yes, after a couple of years, after 2 or 3 years, when the new talent is required, at that point of time, Brexit combined with the points-based system will probably be a lot more useful for people from India, from other parts of the world, because the opportunities will be lesser. And somebody said that yesterday, that the salaries in Europe probably will be higher, rather than the lower salaries that UK is offering. So Indians probably will be more attracted towards the salaries than Europe. That's also true. So Brexit obviously will have an impact, but probably not in my understanding now. It will probably be a impact a bit later in the couple of years, probably later. Is PBS skill migrant visa available for 3 years or just 5 years? I think it's given for an initial time period, and you can extend it, but the duration, the maximum duration that you can get is probably 5 years, because after 5 years you can get a ILR. That's my understanding. So, like how other visas are given, right? I don't think most of the visas are given like entire 5 years. You're given a part of time, and then you're asked to extend it. Again, there are checks and balances in place from my understanding, that once you come into the points-based system visa, the Home Office in HMRC will keep checking whether you're being paid the salary that you were offered, and there'll probably be a validation in place to make sure that is happening. So you can't come into a beware of consultants who are probably going to hire people with paid money, right? It used to happen before, where consultants used to bring people even in the tier 2 general, where they pay a consultant to get them into UK, and it was practically illegal, because you're not allowed to come into tier 2 general unless and until you're able to prove that there is a requirement for which you are not able to hire somebody in UK. And so if a consultant is bringing someone just for money, that means that they're actually cheating the system. And today, it's a little bit more gray, I would say, not black and white, because you can hire anyone that you want. There is no resident labor market test, which means that a lot of consulting companies will mushroom in place, where they will get money from people to try and bring people into UK, and then they'll try and do a subcontracting like TCS or like any other Indian consulting company, but at a smaller level. But it's going to be a huge risk if you are going to come in that kind of a format, wherein the consultant is not actually having a requirement for you. All they're trying to do is make money out of you. They pay you 20,000, and they're trying to get revenue out of you at least for 30 or 40,000. And if they're not able to sell you to another company and get money out of them, then they probably don't have a requirement for you. Again, you will end up in the same scenario. So, any questions that we have not answered so far? What is required from employer, COS or offer letter? COS and offer letter, yes. You need to know whether they have a sponsorship license, and you can probably go and check whether they have a sponsorship license in the list of companies who have sponsorship license in the Home Office website. There is a list that is published. I'll give you the link in the description after the video. And then you need an offer letter stating that they're giving you a minimum salary that is as per the points-based system rules, and a certificate of sponsorship. You need all of that to be able to apply for a points-based system visa. Do we need to have IELTS score for PBS or medium of so medium of English in graduation is enough, but if you have a medium of English in your graduation, you need to get your UK NARIC certification done. So UK NARIC is now a paid, UK NARIC is basically a comparison body which compares your graduation certificate to the UK standards, European standards, and they give you a certificate to say that your AQUELS, or there are two certificates that they give, to say that your graduation is sufficient for your English language assessment, and only if you have that you will be able to pass that requirement. Otherwise, if you just submit your graduation certificates for your points based system, that's not enough. So you can do the UK NARIC now also. So there is no expiry date from my understanding for UK NARIC, so you can do it now also. Am I eligible for points based system if I get a contract job in UK by a licensed UK employer? No, a contract job doesn't work because a contract is with a private, with it's a limited company. So it is not with you as an employer directly. So a points-based system basically says that an employer directly has to hire you. They need to give you a payee salary, PAYE salary, and which means that there are taxes inbuilt into it, and so the Home Office and the HMRC is expecting revenue out of it using through the payee tax and through the national insurance. There are safety checks built around it. If you are going to be in a contract job, you are going to either get your salary through an umbrella company or a self-limited company, private limited company. So I don't think a contract job will work for a points-based system. Again, that's my understanding. So if you are being offered a contract job, that doesn't come under the purview of, from what I have read about the document, that doesn't come under the points-based system from my understanding. Is there a specific UK NARIC? There are two UK NARICs. One is for UK NARIC academic and general. I think the red route is what, there'll be a blue route and a red route. So if you go to UK NARIC, you need to apply for the red route, which is for the immigration. So if you go to the list of values for why you are doing it, it'll show you currently tier 2 general, and that's probably what you need to select, because tier 2 general is the equivalent of points based system now. So if you don't see points based system, when you go to UK NARIC, you select the tier 2 general as the option. Please let us know who are in UK now on tier 2 ICT can switch to PBS. That's my understanding, Shaikh Sadiq. That is the main change that has been brought into picture, where if somebody is in a tier 2 ICT, like TCS or Infosys or any company for that matter, that from January 2021, if there is an employer who's willing to sponsor you and who's willing to give you sponsorship, who have a sponsorship license, then you can switch within UK to that employer without having the 12-month cooling off period, without having to go back to India, all of that basically. So that's my understanding. So again, a lot of people have been asking me the same ICT question. Yes, that's my understanding. Can I switch PBS ICT or general in January? Yes, you can switch to the points-based system after January 2021. And in UK NARIC website, there is no option for PBS. In UK NARIC there will be no option for PBS till the point that they sync it with the points-based system, or probably till January 2021. But UK NARIC, you can go and apply for the tier 2 general, because they are only giving you a English language assessment certification saying that you are eligible to work in UK, and your degree certificate is valid for English language proficiency in UK. So it doesn't need to say that it should be points-based system, in my understanding at least. Gandhi Kanadi, I have one important doubt. Yeah, go ahead, ask your doubt. What are the chances for age 51 12th pass to get a job in UK? I think it'll be really difficult, is probably what I can say for now. Do we need to serve a cooling off period who returned 2020? Natarajan, no, not that I know of. So because the cooling off period has been removed for people who are already in UK, that should be removed for people who have already gone back to India as well. So if somebody has gone back in, let's say, September or October, I don't think there will be a cooling off period for them to apply from January if there is a sponsor who's willing to give them a points-based system visa. Yes. I was told new points-based system and ICT switching are yet to be approved in Parliament. Do you know when they start accepting points-based system applications? I think they will, repeatedly there have been many published documents in the Home Office website that it's going to start in January 2021. So I don't think there is any delays from the government side to start from January 2020, in my understanding. So the worst case scenario is that they will start the applications from January 2021, in my understanding at least. I think I have pretty much answered all the questions. Are there any questions that I have not answered? Approximately how much will it cost for the visa if I get sponsored? So I think if you're an individual, it probably costs around 1,500 pounds or £1,000, and then for every family member, I think there's a £650 on top of it. But you can go and look at it in the Home Office website or the points-based system documents, which has the fee structure entirely documented. It's very clear how much you need to spend from a visa perspective for yourself and for every dependent. And keep in mind that you also need to pay the NHS surcharge, which is probably an additional £1,000 for every person that is going to come to UK as well. So there's a bit of initial cost involved. So if you're a family of four, you're looking probably around £7,000 or £8,000 in total for all of the processing put together, I would say. Will licensed UK employers offer permanent jobs post Brexit to get into? That's the expectation, right? That's what we've been explaining so far. Any idea about the unsponsored route which is supposed to be launched next year? So yes, I mean there is a, like the tier 1 that used to exist earlier, HSMP, that I came in a tier 1 unsponsored route. I was my own sponsor. I didn't have any company or a job offer when I came to UK. There is an unsponsored route that is being considered. There is no official word on it yet. There is no date timeline that has been published by the UK government. So it's very hard to say when it will come into picture. It could be next year, it could be a year later. Because of COVID, it could get delayed even further as well. So I think it's like a waiting game for now. There is no official word on it yet. So somebody is asking a question that if he sponsors, can I get into work if I win a huge lottery money to invest in a business? So if you have money to invest in a business, there is a entrepreneur visa, investor visa that I've explained separately in another video. That's kind of outside the points-based system, but I'll probably just say a couple of words about it. The investor visa has been made much simpler. Earlier, you need to have £200,000 in place, like 2 crores in Indian rupees, I would say. Now you need only £50,000 to start a business in UK and get an investor visa. But they've reduced it to from 2 crore to about 50 lakhs in Indian rupees. So while that is a very good news, that you need only that much amount to start a business and get a business visa or entrepreneur visa or an investor visa, where they've made it difficult is there are only a fixed number of bodies who will need to approve your business idea. You need to come and present your business idea and pitch your business idea. Only if they endorse your business idea can you actually go ahead and get the investor visa, even if you have money to invest in UK. So they've kind of made it easier in one side and difficult in the other side. In fact, that is the only visa where I know where you can come to UK on a visitor visa, pitch your idea to the investor, and if the investor agrees and endorses your idea, then you can actually continue in UK. If you get the investor visa from a tourist visa, you can convert it to an investor visa. That's the only visa I know of where from a tourist visa you can continue to stay in UK. But again, that is only dependent on the endorsing body accepting your idea and saying that that's a good enough idea for you to start a business. So I think I've answered pretty much as a question. Can I get a job? This is my skill set. There's a lot of questions like that. Like I said, right? There are not that many software companies in India. There are end user companies, and if an end user company has a requirement, they have a requirement. They could have a requirement for a data engineer, for a ERP expert, for a HTML developer, whatever it is, or tester, whatever it is. If they have a requirement, they have a requirement, and they'll get the person. It doesn't matter what your skill set is. It's based on the requirement, and it's based on the requirement is matching with your skill set. So I think I have pretty much covered everything from. Don't think there are any other questions that I don't think I've generically covered. There are some questions which are basically different flavors of it. So there are some questions that I probably answered in the beginning of the video. So if people have joined late and asked a question, you can probably replay it, and you will see that I probably answered some of the questions in the beginning of the video as well. So again, hopefully this was useful to you, and I just wanted to do it as an interactive session because I didn't want to just leave it out as a big companies like TCS allowed to change. I'll answer that question. That is dependent on any company, right? No company will want to, leave their employees or allow their employees to go out of the company. So they probably do a retention policy in some way or the other. But obviously, they might even offer you PBS, because earlier also a lot of companies were offering people to get the ILR and bring people on tier 2 general. Once upon a time, tier 2 general, when companies used to bring people from India, even on an intercompany transfer, after 5 years they were getting ILR. It was only in the last 5 or 6 years after Theresa May came, that was basically stopped. So it's just going back to a scenario which was like 7 or 8 years back. So um, nothing that they wouldn't want to do, to explore. Even big companies would want to keep. It reduces the visa cost as well. Somebody gets an ILR, they don't need to continue to sponsor someone. They can bring new people on the ILR. So it depends on the company. It depends on what the company wants to do. So I think we have answered all the questions so far. So hopefully again this was useful to you guys. I didn't want to, I don't want to continue repeating the same questions, because it's all coming out in different flavors. So do have a listen to the video again if your particular question you think has been not been answered, and if you still don't get an answer, then do send me an email. I'll put the email address in my description and try and answer as many questions as I can. I know I've answered a lot of people, but I've still not answered a few questions that have come into my email from yesterday. So I'll try and do enough answers today or in the next coming days. So hopefully, again, this was useful to you guys. So I'll probably finish by from now. And thank you once again for everyone who's joined. Bye.